Hey guys, the Peddler back with another video. Today I'm going to be talking about my experience riding with World Tour Pro Lachlan Morton from Team Education First on Zwift. So without further ado, let's get right into this video. If you don't know who Lachlan Morton is, you probably have been living under a rock for the past year, so I will fill you in. He's a current World Tour cyclist racing for Education First and also does alternative cycling racing as well. In 2019, he took the alternative cycling scene by storm and competed in Dirty Kanza, Leadville 100, Three Peaks Cyclocross, and GB Duro, and he absolutely crushed it in all of the events. All the events that I mentioned that he participated that were alternative cycling events are all documented on YouTube, so you can feel free to watch those as they serve as great inspiration to get on your bike and just explore. Even though he is a World Tour rider and has impressive wins such as the Tour of Utah, he also does enjoy just simply the pure blissfulness of exploring on your bike, and that's one of the biggest things that I've learned from him and seeing him compete in these alternative racing events is that the bike can serve as an exploration tool and just pure enjoyment rather than just staying focused on racing or pure speed or fast group rides. Like, there's a lot more solo adventure that you can do on the bike, and that was probably the biggest deciding factor that drove me to actually get a new gravel bike and really plan my 2020 season with similar interest of not only doing some hardcore racing but also doing some long distance events, solo events of just pure exploration. So the ride with Lachlan on Zwift, I have the stats open on Strava as we speak. It was 500 meters in elevation, so it was pretty hilly. It was 1 hour in total, and it was 22 kilometers long. The ride with Lachlan on Zwift was a structured workout, which was really nice to see because that meant that everyone was doing a specific power zone, which forced everyone to stay with the group. So there was no one breaking away, making everyone chase. So it was just overall really well done and really well organized. One of the questions that were asked during the ride was how does Lachlan keep balance on the bike and also in his personal life, and he basically said that he has indicators between both that tell him how to gauge both efforts and make sure that he's doing his due diligence on both aspects. The first question I asked was about Dirty Kanza XL and how to train for it. It is a 563 kilometer race, and he basically told me you would have to get in long hours on the bike, so that's about 10 to 13-hour rides on the bike. And when I asked him how often, maybe once a month, you would have to do a ride like that, he said 2 days before the event so your legs know what they're getting themselves into. And I said, wouldn't that be a lot on the legs? And he said, yes, but during that event, your legs will be hurting, but the thing that will be hurting the most is mentally yourself be asking, why are you doing this? It's going to be consistent throughout the whole long ride of why don't I stop? Why am I doing this? Why am I here? Why am I riding? Why don't I just kick my feet up and stop? And he said if you can really answer that why, then that's like the biggest training tool that you can use to defeat any long distance cycling event. One of the questions that I asked him was which alternative cycling events was he looking forward to the most, and his answer was Dirty Kanza XL, which is the big long version of Dirty Kanza, which is 563 kilometers long, which is insane. The other event he was looking forward to was the Cape Epic, which is kind of like the Tour de France of mountain biking, and the last one was the Three Peaks Cyclocross, where you actually have to climb up three distinct mountains while carrying up your bike, and that is insane within itself. So, he had a pretty good alternative calendar planned. Another question that was posed to him was, does he do any KOM hunting? And his answer was no, but he does defend the KOMs local to him. One of the best pieces of advice that Lachlan gave during the ride was about training and how to keep training fun and engaging. And his answer was to make your local training loops very fun and stimulating and become very good at them. And what that means is that instead of always being focused about what next route you can plan or some next adventure, try to optimize and improve the current loops that you train on, because if you can continuously make that super fun, you're going to find better ways to enjoy what's the most immediate and accessible to you, and then eventually you'll slowly progress to maybe some new routes. But people are always just in general always like focused on what's the next thing, what's the next thing, what's the next thing they can do. And if you're always in that mindset, you'll never really appreciate what you have in your own backyard in terms of training loops or accessible training. And I think that's really powerful because it really made me question, instead of me being so focused on planning upcoming long distance rides to really focus on the current loops that I use for training and how can I make those more fun and stimulating, because not every day are you going to be going on these long epic rides, like maybe here or there, you know, once a month if you're lucky, but it's those everyday training loops that you'll be doing consistently. So if you can make those more stimulating and interesting and fun, you'll stay super motivated to ride. He also gave this piece of advice about how to stay motivated on the bike, and that is by truly enjoying what you're doing. So, you know, if riding becomes a chore and getting those kilometers in on the bike becomes a chore, then you're not going to be eager to do it. So I think that goes back into making, you know, your training loops very fun and engaging, because if those are boring and you're just doing it to rack up the kilometers or keep that level of fitness for racing or whatever the, you know, situation may be, then, you know, eventually it becomes a chore, and that's where you lose the engagement and the fun out of cycling. So if you can really improve the overall quality of every aspect of cycling, then, you know, training will be fun and it won't be a chore. The ride with Lachlan Morton was a blast on Zwift. The fact that we could ride during these times and actually have the ability to ask a pro World Tour rider some advice or just overall life questions was really nice, and really something that, you know, you can't really do without Zwift at the moment. So it was really nice to see that, and I just really enjoyed myself. His vibe, his overall presence is just, you know, really love cycling. Just cycling is not all about racing. That is something that's fun and that he does, and that also that I do and other riders do. But cycling is much more than that. It brings people together. It's about exploration, and he's really the pioneer of that alternative cycling movement, especially bringing it to you know, popularity in terms of bringing light to it, because he is a World Tour rider. So, you know, thank you, Lachlan, for, you know, doing this ride on Zwift, because I really enjoyed it, as others during the ride also. So I'm looking forward to doing other social rides on Zwift, and you guys should be also looking into some rides on Zwift that are social events, because they are super fun. You get a very good quality ride out of them. You can engage with others and just have a good time and get your mind off current situations. So that about wraps it up with my experience riding with Lachlan Morton on Zwift. If you guys did enjoy the video, please smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps with me putting out more content like this and the overall growth of the channel. Please comment what would you guys like to see next, or any ideas that you have for future videos. And until the next one, keep on pedaling.